Grandmaster Torok, Kajikembo Concepts in Dover, Tennessee, under Great Grandmaster Emil Bautista, KSDI. We're going to show you the last of our videos on guntings. Please review the other three as well for more information. Helping me out today on my left is Shelly and Jimmy, and on my right is Dave and Mark. Okay, let's do a group bow. Ready, bow. First we're going to start with a review of some of the guntings. Remember, a gunting we define as a strike against a strike. Technically it translates as a scissoring action, but we're going to be a little liberal on our definitions. So Mark's going to stick his hand out here and to show where we hit. Now the idea is to try to hit a muscle group of some kind on an attack, but the biggest idea is to go ahead and cover your zone of your own, because that hand isn't necessarily going to be there. Okay, but let's assume that it is. Okay, so when we do these guntings, okay, we can have a crossing gunting here. Idea is to hurt this person. I mean, you could use soft hands too, but that doesn't hurt as much. So we have this one and this one. Make sure there's a retraction there, and of course there'd be a follow-up as well. Okay, we have on the inside, we have the double inside, the reverse double inside. We have the rising guntings. So any strike against a strike, and it doesn't have to be against a hand. It could be against a kick or something. But again, say that that punch wasn't there. Let's say Mark throws a punch and retracts it. Okay, so I want to gunting myself. As a general rule, we'll move away because this is a more natural behavior. If you're not expecting something, especially on the street, and this guy throws a punch at you, you're not going to step in and do all this fancy technique stuff. You see it coming, go, whoa. So when it punches, boom, and then you would follow up. So the other part of the gunting, very important, is always follow up. If he hits, you can't always think you're going to catch a muscle group. So it's important to react, and using the closest or the ready hand principles, you follow up so that you change the energy of the attack against the opponent. Thank you, Mark. Alright, we're going to show you some drills against some objects now, or at least what you can do with them. You can take a stick or something and tape it onto a pole in your basement if you like, or if you have somebody that can strike at you. In this case, we're just going to use a kodachi, which we use in a chambara. Okay, so you can have somebody just simply hold something out, and this would of course simulate the punches that we were doing with Mark. Okay, so you can do a crossing one, that's your actual gunting. You can do double guntings. Again, depends on the angle of the attack. Okay, so now if I was to swing this at Jim, he would probably want a gunting that way or this way, or maybe a low gunting. Okay, rather than necessarily always the same gunting. The nice thing about guntings is they're fairly universally applicable against a multitude of strikes without having to do a modification. Thank you, Jim. Alright, let's show a couple of drills we can do. Jim is going to show some guntings against some kicks, and then we're going to have Shelly show a drill, a 5-count gunting drill, or you can make any combination that you like. Okay, go ahead. And you notice the retraction that comes, and you can throw random kicks getting out of the way. And let's do a follow-up strike, Jim. Do it like that. You'll notice by not absorbing the power of the strike, you don't have to hurt yourself. Otherwise, a lot of times we try to do bone against bone, whereas this way, you cover your body and you retract. Shelly's going to show a basic 5-count entry with some different kinds of strikes, and you can do this as a flowing drill. Again. Thank you. And now we're going to show you some applications against punches or against weapons. All right, let's do a knife. Okay. So Dave's got a knife, and he's going to hold it to Mark's throat. All right, let's pick up the knife, and let's do a stomach thrust. Good. All right. So the idea is not to necessarily go right for the weapon where they can pull it away from you, but keep track of that weapon the whole time. And you can beat them to death if you want to before you try to disarm. Right now we're just adding a few strikes in that should come naturally to you if you have half decent striking ability. Let's do a gun to, say, the front somewhere. Good. So again, attack the person, keep track of the weapon, do a couple puck sounds to keep track of that weapon, keep beating on them, and eventually you do want to eventually grab that gun out of that person's hand. Let's go ahead and do a stick attack, a longer stick attack. And one from a close-up, maybe a tire iron kind of a thing. Alright, so hopefully we hurt this person's hand or whatever is striking you, but the main thing is for you to have a good follow-up shot afterwards after you've protected your zone, especially with a double gunting. Now these guntings can be done with single hands too, but double gets your hands up in a proper place. Alright, Dave's going to show you some techniques against a punch. We're going to do it in stages so that you can see how it progresses. Okay, Mark, throw a right hook. There's just your gunting. Throw that from the left side. So you notice the gunting is protecting Dave's zone, getting ready to counter. Now we're going to follow with the mandatory second part of the gunting, which is the follow-up. Other side, retraction, follow-up quick, and then you can add whatever else you want to it. So, and the other side. So the idea is start with something that's fundamental and then build into it whatever else you like. Thank you, gentlemen. Alright, that concludes this particular gunting video, and I hope you can take something away with it so that you can practice. Keep in mind the power of the guntings. They're not universal, of course. There's lots and lots of good techniques out there. I'd like to thank Mark and Dave and Jim and Shelley for working with me on this. And we're going to be posting other videos, but we're going to get away from the gunting and get into some other things where more of an instructional nature. Thank you. And also many thanks to Grandmaster Emil Batista for all his guidance in our work.